This is a 2011 Chevy. It's not just any Chevy, it's a Caprice police pursuit vehicle that I bought at a state auction here in Delaware. Now, I've been pursuing these cars for quite a while now, ever since the first ones started showing up at the auctions, but it took a while to find the right car in the right condition at the right price. Now, I bought this car about a week ago. I've driven it about 250 miles during that time, and it's been an absolute blast. And in this video, I'm going to share with you some of the cool and unique features that make this car so fun. I'm going to share with you some of the weird oddities about this car as well that just leaves you scratching your head why. And then lastly, we're going to get behind the wheel, we're going to take a drive, and I'm going to share with you what it's like behind the wheel of one of the most stealthiest, most capable, and lowest production police cars out there. Now, this Caprice is based on an Australian car called the Holden Commodore, and Holden has a long history of rebadging their cars for export, and this Caprice is no different. But what's interesting about this Caprice is that it was never sold to the general public. It was strictly for law enforcement here in the United States. So not only was it rebadged, but it was also re-engineered for police purposes, thus getting the Police Pursuit Vehicle Designation, or PPV. Now, Holden, or Chevy, built these cars starting in 2011 and ran them through the time Holden stopped making cars in 2017, and they imported a little over 15,800 of these cars to the US. These Caprices come with two different engine choices, a 3.6 liter V6, or the engine this car has and all other 2011 Caprices have, which is a 6 liter V8 LS engine. Now, one of the first things you'll notice is that there is no engine cover, and that's to reduce the underhood engine temperatures by a few degrees. But more than that, this LS is just a little bit different in that it's not your typical LS engine, in that it's an E85 compatible, and that gives it an L787 engine designation. This engine has cylinder deactivation, which Chevy calls displacement on demand, where the engine switches from 4-cylinder mode to 8-cylinder mode depending on horsepower needs. There's 355 horsepower, 384 foot-pounds of torque, and a 6-speed automatic transmission. Also, with the PPV package, there's no underhood insulation. Instead, you get to see this weird dimpling in the hood support structure. That's also only partially painted, too. So as I said earlier, Holden has a long history of rebadging their cars for export. And so this Caprice should look strangely familiar to you, as it has a family resemblance to the Pontiac G8. This Caprice, just like that G8, built from 2008-2009, all came from the same car, the Holden Commodore, so the family resemblance and the bloodline should show through. All right, enough of that. Let's jump inside. I'll show you some of the cool features. So when the police departments were ordering these Caprices new, they could choose between two different versions. A 9C1 model, which is your standard patrol car with vinyl flooring, vinyl rear seats, an offset shifter, a large, wide, flat center console to accommodate police equipment. Or they could buy up to the 9C3 version, which Chevy called the detective car. Inside the detective model, the car is spec'd very much like what you would find in any new car today. There's carpeting on the floors and typical and traditional center console and shifter and cloth seats, both front and rear. Both models, however, were made for police duty, so they have very few areas on the dash and door panels that are soft touch, and that's in order to make cleanup and upkeep easy and simple. Also, something both the 9C1 and 9C3 models have is the info on the gauge cluster information screen that sits between the speedometer and the engine tach. There are 10 different menu options to personalize the settings of the car to suit the specific needs of the driver. So inside the car, there's a lot of weird things going on. Nothing outrageous, just a few things that just make you scratch your head and wonder why. For instance, on other cars with the doors locked, a tug on the inside door handle typically unlocks the doors, but not on this car. Strangely, the gauge cluster isn't centered with the steering wheel column. Now, it's only an inch or so offset to the passenger side, but it's enough just to make you wonder why. The multimedia options are disabled. There's this rear view mirror airbag light that always catches my eye every time I check the rear view mirrors. Typically with power windows, there's two detents in the power window switch. One to push the window down just a little, and the other which is an express down option. This car doesn't have two detents, so when you press the switch down, the windows automatically go into express down mode. There's no auto up feature for the windows. For me, I typically have cold hands in the wintertime, and I like to adjust the air vents to blow onto the steering wheels to help keep my hands warm. On this car, the air vents on the center stack don't adjust enough to blow on the steering wheel. There's no grab handles or back seat nets. With the engine off and the key removed, you can still turn the radio on and off, which is interesting. And also, the tire pressure sticker on the door jamb doesn't match the tire pressure requirements on the tires. Oh, and lastly, in the trunk floor is flat, which is kind of what you would expect. And there's this trunk organizer in there that I just can't figure out where it attaches to, or even if it attaches to something to keep it from rolling around. There's a little access panel on the driver's side of the trunk side that covers the battery. Also, there's supposed to be an auxiliary battery somewhere, but I haven't yet found it. Under the trunk floor is where a full-size spare tire lives, which I guess that space could be used for some extra and super hidden storage too. Chevy applies the police pursuit vehicle designation to its Tahoes as well as these Caprices. And in order to achieve that PPV designation, there's a lot of extra engineering that goes into these cars. And that extra engineering is what allows these cars and the Tahoes to stand up to the rigors of police work. So let me show you some of the differences that make a PPV vehicle different than a standard vehicle. So these PPVs come with a 292 limited slip rear axle ratio, a 170 amp alternator with an idle boost feature that gives 110 amps at a 650 RPM idle, engine oil, transmission oil, and power steering coolers, sculptured front seats to accommodate police equipment belts, 18-inch steel wheels along with Eagle RSA tires for strength and survivability. The upper cross members, beams, and radiator supports are bolted on instead of welded on. There is a heavy-duty police suspension, dual exhaust, and then there's some nice-to-have features like dual-zone climate control, head curtain airbag, stability and traction control, power driver seat, sport shift mode for the transmission, air filtration, CD player, and a tilt and telescoping steering wheel. All right, so what do you say we go for a drive? This thing loves to drink fuel, although it's not much different from the Crown Vics I'm used to. But before we can get very far, the driver's info screen is screaming at me for gas, so let's make a quick stop and top off. All right, back on the road. The very first time I got behind the wheel of this car when pulling away from the auction lot, I was surprised by how comfortable and contoured the front seats were. Even though these were police cars and they're meant to accommodate police belts, I found the seats to be supportive and have plenty of adjustments. There's so much fore and aft adjustments in these seats that even an NBA star would have enough leg room. The steering felt heavy at first, but I quickly got used to its weight. At first I thought the steering wheel looked and felt big, but after measuring it at 15 inches, it's within a half inch of the other wheels in my other cars. steering is quick and accurate. The brakes are strong and consistent and have no problems quickly stopping the car. The interior sound level is really subdued and it's easy to hold a conversation even at highway speeds. The body of the car feels amazing and it's solid and strong, no squeaks or rattles, which is surprising considering how taut and stiff the suspension is. The handling feels good, however, when taking an on or off ramp at higher speeds, the body feels a little unsettled. Where in my Crown Vic, I want to keep adding throttle and push through the turn. In this, I want to pull off the gas a bit, get composure again, find my line, and guide the car through the turn. But really, the fun of this car is 355 horsepower, and it makes any kind of acceleration just a blast. That was a whole lot of fun. Between the amount of horsepower and the driving dynamics and the handling and the brakes on this car, this thing is just a blast to drive, and it never feels overtaxed or if it's running out of steam or just short on power. But there's something else that's very unique about this specific car that makes it special, and it's in the glove compartment. Come on, let's take a look. When I went to pick up the car after winning the auction, I was given a packet of papers along with the title. Now, I bought a bunch of cars at this auction in the past, but this is the first time I ever got this much paperwork on a car that I bought. The first time I've gotten an owner's manual, the first time I gotten an alternative fuel mileage range sticker, a warranty and owner's assistance information booklet, the new car window sticker showing the MSRP along with the addition of a little more than over $600 in options, which includes an auxiliary battery, heated mirrors, a full-size spare tire, and strangely, the deletion of the daytime running lights. But I think the best part of this packet of paperwork is the service history on the car. Everything from its first tire rotation and oil change at 6,400 miles, window tinting at 47,000 miles, recall service work, car washings, and its most recent service at 71,121 miles, where new brakes, new tires were installed on the car. So that's my Caprice PPV. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this video gave you a little better understanding of what makes these cars special and unique. And so the next time you see one on the road, you know more about it. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe too, and next to the subscribe button, there's a bell icon. Click that bell icon, that way you'll be notified when new videos get uploaded. So thanks so much for your time, and as always, thanks for watching. This is a Caprice Chevy. This is a Caprice police pursuit vehicle.